Hello everyone, welcome to the Hi-Fi Alchemy IAS Daily Current Affair Briefing. And we have the most important five topic of the day. And we will start with the first topic. The most important topic has been discussed in the news. And these were the content that we have considered based on the Hindu and the Indian Express newspaper. The first topic that we have here is with respect to the SEO Summit 2025, and they have declared a new declaration, the Tanj this one, that is Tianjin Declaration of 2025. The SEO summit was held in Tianjin, a city nearest to the Beijing, located in the China. And in this summit, all the member countries of SEO agreed to come up with for a Tianjin declaration, and that is also an important developments, especially in the context of combating terrorism. It has recognized India's effort in combating terrorism. All these countries' leaders together condemned the terrorism, the terrorist event, terrorist attack happened in these regions, including India's recent incidents of the Pahalgam incidents. That's why this particular news was mentioned in the news. In this particular contest, what we have to study as a UPSC aspirant, we have to focus one thing, that is as part of the current events, the outcome, the major, the key outcome of this SEO Summit 2025, including the Tianjin Declaration. The major outcome that you can see in this particular slide, that is one is the condemnation of terrorism, because SEO has an objective of combating terrorism in order to ensure regional security, and then it also promote economic cooperations and the cultural unity between these countries. Then in the joint declaration, in the Tianjin declarations, it has called for ending the cross-border terrorism. So no country should promote any kind of terrorism that is affecting the sovereignty, integrity, territorial sovereignty of the other country and security of the other country. Then only the objective of the SEO will be achieved, and reaffirm the commitment to fight terrorism, separatism, and extremism. It is not only an issue that India is facing, it is also a concern, a challenge that China is faced, and Pakistan itself has faced terrorist events in the recent years. All these aspects has been considered in the latest SEO summits. And it also opposed the unilateral sanctions, especially in the context of we have seen that US and other Western countries imposing tariff and sanctions. The recent one was the US tariff against those countries involved in trade with Russia. Now, Russia is a member of the SEO, and it also goes against interest of the SEO member countries. And US had imposed an additional tariff against India for continuing its trade with Russia. And in this particular context, it has warned that all these unilateral sanctions are against the WTO rules. For that reason, that it has opposed that unilateral sanction getting the support for India in its trade war and conflict with the US latest tariff. Then it also proposed for the establishment of the SEO Development Bank. It is under the proposal stage. India is not officially declared for its fullest support, but India is expecting the positive benefit if there is any a new development bank has been established by SEO. Already India is part of the BRICS bank, including China and Russia, and that is also another important development that we can see. In the summit, it has also recognized the tourist and cultural city, and this city is located in Kyrgyzstan and named as Sholpon Ata. Something in prelims examination, any places mentioned in the news would come. So in this context, that's why the Tianjin location is also important. And another one, the tourist and cultural capital for the next 2025 and 26 year, that will be in Kyrgyzstan city, the Sholpon Ata. So these are the major point that we have to note down for the examination perspective. Another perspective, that if you are appearing for the, if you're planning to give another attempt for the UPSC in 2026, the 2026 is going to be the 25 years of the formation of the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So in this contest, we have to study the basic information, basic fact about SCO. It was established originally as a Shanghai 5 in 1996. Later, with addition of Uzbekistan, it has formally formed an organization in this region named Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The secretariat is located in Beijing, and it has another permanent institution to combat terrorism, that is regional anti-terrorist structure, that is located in Tashkent. And currently we have 10 member countries, and India, Pakistan are members of this SCO, and both India and Pakistan became member in the Astana summit in 2017. These relevant factors also need to be noted, and Belarus, Iran, these are the two countries recently were joined to become the ninth and 10th member. So these are the point also we have to note it down. And the next summit is going to be held in Kyrgyzstan, and the Kyrgyzstan, which is the theme of the 25 years of the SCO formation together towards sustainable peace, development and prosperity. So this is why the SCO and its relevance for India, how this SCO community or SCO grouping as a multilateral forum will help India. It's addressing its security, economic and other diplomatic interests. In this context, you have to note it on the main perspective aspects, that is the significance of India, how SCO will help in protecting India's interest here, especially to get the global support for combating terrorism. SCO now has recognized India's recent effort for combating terrorism with respect to the Pahalgam incidents, regional security cooperation. All these countries together, including China, Pakistan, Russia, all together should come. So whenever we study about SCO, we should remember the trilateral possibility, especially this can also be referred as the corridor diplomacy, sideline or side events, or we can also say that informal diplomacy, the corridor diplomacy that gives a chance for the India and China to have a dialogue between the two. So yesterday we have seen the border dispute dialogue between India and China, and it will also give an opportunity for India to have its dialogue with the Pakistans, and it also gives a trilateral opportunity for these three countries to come together, have a side event talks within SCO. And another important player, a strategic partner of India, Russia, is also a member of SCO. So this will give a quadrilateral dialogue possibility within this SCO formation. That's why SCO organization is very important for India. That's the reason that our Prime Minister has given that much significance and important for this meeting. And other than this, also we can say there are different aspects to it. So that is, it will also help India to improve its economic trade cooperation within the member countries of SCO. And we can also say that it will also help India, because are already most of the central countries are already members of this SEO region. So this will help India to improve its trade relation with and economic cooperation with the countries located in Central Asian region. That will help us to India to secure its energy security, energy cooperation in the global perspective, in the global multilateral forums. So these aspects need to be noted down when we study about SEO. Now, this kind of question can be expected in mains examination if you're writing an exam in the future. For example, here, this kind of similar question can be expected in the upcoming mains examination. Discuss the significance of the SEO for India in terms of its security. In terms of its security, it comes maybe particularly we can say that including the terrorism challenges, diplomacy and economic cooperation. So if you would like to practice answers for the mains examination, you can also practice an answer for these particular questions. Now, moving on to the next topic that we have for today, that is Adhivani. This is a AI based application that will translate Hindi English language into tribal language. When we read these kind of articles, these are part of our governance, are part of our social justice syllabus, where we can integrate this initiative of the government. This is an initiative Minister of Tribal Affairs has launched. This will help us to protect the tribal language, because when we refer to the language that we have in India, we have so many language. Within the tribal community, we have around 8% of the total population of India are the tribal community, and with this community we have 461 tribal language. Within these 461 language, you can see in this particular slide, there are 82 language are vulnerable, and other, for example, 42 language are critically endangered. With this AI based, this initiative, that is Adivani initiative, will help us to identify and protect this cultural heritage, and which will also help us to achieve the digital inclusivity of through this translating our Hindi English language into tribal language, and vice versa, that tribal language can also be translated into Hindi and English, so that will not be creating any barrier, including especially for the education. So next, the topic that we have for today, it's also again related to policy, governance, population. We know that the census 2027 is frequently mentioned in the news. Now, the latest update with respect to the census 2027 is that already it's a fully digitalized census conduction and data, and it will use the geotagging technology to identify each residents and non-residents. So we are integrating the technological advancements in this policy exercise. This is the latest update that we have. These examples can be used in our sciences to showcase the uses of technology, how it will help us to have effective policy, especially effective data analysis of the population of India by using this geotagging. So geotagging technology can be specifically expected in the prelims examination, and these other perspective will be useful for the mains examination. Now the next topic that we have, that is with respect to the Right to Education Act. In this particular context, the Supreme Court has formed a two judges bench, and this judges bench was examining the RTE exception to the minority educational institution. We know about Right to Education Act, and we already know about the Article 21A. So this particular article is published the Indian Express, and also there this article is there in Hindu. Based on these two articles published in two newspaper, we are taking this particular topic as we see it has relevance and importance. Article 21 of Indian Constitution guarantee a fundamental right to elementary education that is free and compulsory for the children between 6 to 14 years. In order to ensure that all these children get inclusive quality access to education, we have enacted the Right to Education Act in 2009. And this act specifically mentioned that every institution, including private institution, must provide 25% of the seats must be reserved for the weaker section. Then only we can achieve the inclusivity in access to primary elementary level education. And it has to follow the minimum teacher qualification that is not compromising the quality of education. And there was a case against this Right to Education Act. It has challenged that it will be applicable to minority educational institution. We know there is another fundamental right under Article 30 that protect the interest of the minority, especially they have the right to administer and manage the educational institution for this minority institution, either maybe religious minority or maybe linguistic minority. Will be applicable to this minority institution? In this case, in 2014, you can also use these kind of cases whenever any questions are coming with respect to this particular issue. In 2014, the Pramati Education Trust case, the Supreme Court has declared that the right to education, these mandates will not be applicable to the minority education institution. They have an exception in order to protect their interest. And now the two judges in the latest case of the RTE exceptions to minority, they are examining this case and suggested for again revising this case, and it has been transferred to the larger bench, and this bench has identified that there is no conflict between Article 21A that guarantee the free and compulsory education to the children between 16 to 14 with the Article 30. So complete exception of the RTE will not benefit fully, rather it is diluting its major objective. In this context, this particular Right to Education Act and the major provisions including 25% reservation for the weaker section and the necessity to have the TTE test and the qualification for the teachers, etc. will be relevant, and the exception to minority will also be relevant. So please follow this article for our exam perspective for the both prelims and mains. Next article, that is an editorial, has been published in Hindu. So this is based on that. In this editorial, the authors discussed about the health insurance scheme, the health scheme that we have in India, particularly the major scheme that we have, that is PM Jan Arogya Yojana, and state and many state has already have this kind of initiative to ensure the security and addressing the health expenditure challenges that is faced by the people in India. In this article, it is discussing the issue currently that we have with respect to the health insurance coverage, and it is in conflict with achieving the universal health coverage. When we talk about universal health coverage means whatever the health service has been provided by the state, it must be accessible and it must be affordable for the every persons in India. But unfortunately, with this insurance scheme that we have, including particularly major one is the PM Jan Arogya Yojana. This Jan Arogya Yojana, if you want to study for the prelims examination, you have to study the basics about the scheme. Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana is guaranteeing insurance scheme to per family. They will get rupees 5 lakh rupees, and this insurance available for maybe private or public hospital. It can be available in any public or private hospital, maybe for secondary and tertiary care. Now, the government will pay the insurance amount through integrating private and public insurance companies. In this article, the author critically evaluating that this particular scheme has benefited mostly for the private entities. So, this scheme, rather than benefiting the poor, this scheme has become a profit bias based scheme, mostly benefiting the private entities. So, mostly private entities are getting the profit out of that. And many people because and this particular scheme many people are not even aware about how should we get this insurance and what will be the procedure to get the insurance coverage when such emergency arises. So that utilization issue gap and awareness gap utilization issue is there according to this particular data that we have got here. Only one third of these data that we can use in our main answer, that is only one third of insured patients actually use to get this benefit. And another one that it is only focusing on the hospitalizations. So it is ignoring the other part that the primary health care and outpatient service. Only when we get into admitted to the hospitalization case, only then it will be considered. There is a chances and probability of discrimination because private they will only entertain uninsured patient rather than focusing on the insured patient. So there will be discrimination based on this particular scheme which are insured and insured. And there is a cases that we have seen delay in payment of this coverage. Approximately there is an amount of around 12,000 crore is due under the PM Jan Arogya Yojana, and around 609 hospitals were exited under the schemes. So these are also the issues mentioned. You can also note it down the corruption, the fraud cases around 3,200 hospitals flagged for fraud, irregularities like denial of treatment, overcharging, and unnecessary procedure were there. A lack of transparency is another issue that we are facing. So weak audits and weak monitoring mechanism and system. So these kind of issues has been discussed in this editorial, so we can use these kind of issues in our mains answers whenever any questions are asked about the public health insurance coverage. So this is why this particular topic is relevant and has given a global model practice and lesson, that is countries like Canada and Thailand, they use this non-profit agency or social organizations, they would provide the insurance coverage to the poor. So through this way, it has achieved the universal health coverage. So that is what the major point in this article has been discussed. So the finally, we have one more topic as a value addition. So all these were the 5 topics of the day. And another one that I would like to give you a value addition point, a data point that we got it from the science page of the Hindu, that is with respect to a report published. So this is Air Quality Life Index 2025 has been published by Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago. In this report, it has highlighted the concern that especially the air quality that we have in India, which is very poor and worse than the WHO safe standard. So particulate matter 2.5, which is worse in Indian conditions. And especially it has specifically mentioned about some cities including Delhi. Delhi has been identified as the worst affected. And overall, nearly 50% of Indians lives in an area they have worse air quality. So this air quality standard is deteriorating would affect there is a health risk in it. So this would also violate our Article 21 right to live in a peaceful, free from pollution. So any questions are asked in related to pollution, climate change, this EIA or conservation effort, we can also include this kind of indices has been mentioned in the news. So this report will help you to add certain value to the main answer. With this, I'm ending this particular session. I hope this session has benefited you and thank you for watching.